What's happening, everybody? It's Rob from the Basement Bike Shop, and in this video I'm going to show you how to true or straighten BMX wheels. Now if your rims aren't too crooked and you have double-walled rims, you can true them with the tires on. But for best results, I take the tire off because that way I can check the hop and everything like that. If you need help getting the tires on and off or getting the wheel off the bike or back on, you can check out my tire video. That'll show you the complete installation and removal step by step. You can click on the link on the screen, or there'll be a link in the description. Now to do this, you're going to need a spoke wrench, which is what I'm using right here to tighten and loosen the nipples. And you'll also need a truing stand. I have an older Pedro's truing stand, but it works good for most wheels. And don't worry about your truing stand not being centered. Most truing stands that I've used in home and bike shop settings have not been centered. And I'll show you how to work with that. After you put your wheel in the truing stand and tighten it, you're going to bring your caliper arm up and put the caliper as close to the wheel as it can without hitting on one side. Then you're going to take the wheel out, turn it around, tighten it back down, and then see how close it is to that same side. And that will tell you if your wheel's off to the right or left. Most of the time I only use one side of the caliper. But the first thing we're going to do is check if there's any hop in the wheel. We're going to put the caliper underneath the rim and see if it goes up or down. If it rubs in a spot, I'm going to tighten the nipples in that spot. And I always try to tighten the same amount of right side nipples as left side nipples, as to just pull the hop out but not pull the rim off to one side. Then after I get most of my hop out, I start my truing process. I bring the caliper up and put it as close to the rim as I can without it hitting. I really don't want to scrape up my rim. I mean, if you want to listen for the sound, you can, but I just try to do it visually. And then I turn it around and see how close it is to hitting the other way. This is going to make sure that I keep the wheel centered, because my calipers are not. And I think it needs to go the other way, so I'm going to turn it back around where it was closest to that arm and pull all of my hops to the right. Now you can see I use clips sometimes to remember where I start and stop when I have larger areas. And then if you want to pull the rim to the right, you're going to tighten the nipple or nut on the spoke on one side and loosen the nipple on the other side. And again, I try to do the same amount of right side and left side spokes. So if I tighten 3 on the right, I loosen 3 on the left. That way I won't put a hop in the wheel while I'm trying to true it. Remember to turn the wheel around often. I'd say every 5 minutes of truing I turn it around and make sure that whatever way I'm pushing the wheel, it's in the correct direction. That way my wheel is centered as I straighten it. Now if you ever have to do an emergency truing at the skate park or in a parking lot and you have double-walled rims, a good way to do it is to use a zip tie. And I zip tie it to my frame right next to the rim, and then I cut it off and I use the end of the zip tie like I would the caliper on my truing stand. You're obviously not going to get it as good as you could using a truing stand, but if it keeps you riding a little longer, then go for it. If you have single wall rims and you want to do a tire on truing, you have to let as much air as possible out of those tires first. And then the third thing I check on the wheel is how tight my spokes are. Now, I like my wheels a little stiff, so I don't want to be able to move the spokes too much when I grab and try and pull them together. If it needs to be tightened, you're just going to go through, and I like to do a quarter turn at a time, tighten the entire wheel. Now if you notice that your whole wheel needs to be pulled to the right a little bit and needs to be tightened, then just tighten all the spokes that come off the right side of the hub. After that, go through and check the tension again. Seems like it could be a little tighter. And we're going to go through and give it another quarter turn. Now I like to start at the valve stem. That way I always know where I started or stopped. This seems like a good time to talk about my next video, which is going to be how to lace these wheels. Now, I kind of lace a little bit different than anybody else I've ever seen lace wheels. I'm self-taught. When I was 12 years old, I wanted to lace my own wheels, so I stared at a wheel and just tried to mimic it on the other one. But I find that my way of lacing is a lot less confusing, and I'll show you that next week. So after we get all the way back to the valve stem, then we'll check it again. And if we got it to pretty much where we like it, then we start over. Check the hop again. Take out any hop it has. And then check the true again and retrue it. And now you're going to have the straightest wheels at the skate park. And that wraps it up for this video. Thanks for watching. My next video will be the lacing of BMX wheels, 3-cross pattern, 36 hole. These wheels exactly. Subscribe and turn on those alerts if you don't want to miss it. I try to put out a video every week. If you have any questions or suggestions for future videos, you can comment below or you can send me an email. Thanks again.